Joining us now, the president of the NAACP, our friend and brother, the president of the oldest and boldest, most discussed civil rights organization in America, Derrick Johnson. Derrick, good morning, brother. How are you, man?
Good morning, Mark. How are you doing this morning?
Just fine, just fine. We've got a big deal today. We probably get this final vote on Thomas Farr, won't we?
Absolutely. And, you know, an individual who's had a whole career of being a protege of Jesse Helms, who've done nothing but to work in efforts to subvert democracy and deny African American others to vote, should not be rewarded with a lifetime federal appointment to serve on the bench in the Black Belt of North Carolina. It would be an atrocity. It would be a throwback if that happens. So we are asking your listeners to call your senator, particularly those of you in South Carolina, to call Tim Scott, to ask him to vote no on this nominee. It is right now you have 50 members of the Senate who are saying no and 50 members of the Senate who are saying yes. And if that happens again today, then the vice president will break the tie. You know which way that's going to go. So we need one senator to change their vote to vote no for this on this nominee.
So I spoke with Reverend Barber late last night, and he was very critical of Tim Scott in the tweet, and he got word that Tim Scott's people are saying for Thomas Farr, which I think is a ridiculous thing to say, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, it is a ridiculous statement, but I can say I was with the delegation from North Carolina who took two buses up from the state to D.C. We met with Tim Scott's office. It was a very cordial meeting. The staff appears as if they're taking this nominee under serious consideration. They're doing a lot of research. They were able to cite footnotes in the report. So they are reviewing information. And I don't want to go around any hearsay. I just want to ask individuals who live in the state of South Carolina to call your member, to ask him to vote no on this nominee.
South Kakalaki, we need you, especially to get in touch with your member of the Senate, Tim Scott. Ask him to vote no. Now, Tim has raised concerns about racism and dog whistling. It's not like he's oblivious to that. And,
no, he's clear. I mean, he was the reason why a nominee out of South Carolina failed. He decided that he could not move forward with the support of that nominee, and as a result of that, that killed the nomination of that individual. So we have to make sure we're focused on the outcome of defeating this nominee, not fall into a partisan argument, because this is not about partisanship. This is straight race. Mm-hmm. And Thomas Farr has made a career of being a protege of Jesse Helms.
Yeah. Harvey Gann, who ran against Jesse Helms, some of you will remember, has even made a statement regarding his opposition and why people should be opposed to Thomas Farr. So this is very, very important, folks. 866-99-SERIOUS, especially those of you in South Carolina. Now, everybody ought to be calling all of their senators, but especially those of you in South Carolina, you all ought to get up this morning and see to it that you are in touch with your senators. Please, everybody in South Kakalaki, reach out to Senator Tim Scott. As Derrick said, he is a Republican, but we're not dealing with that today. We're going to appeal to him on basic decency. You think there's a chance, Derrick, that Tim Scott can be won over and convinced, based on your meeting with his staff, you think there's a chance he could be won over and convinced not to vote for Thomas Farr?
Yeah, I think so. I think all the members of the Senate should be contacted today, regardless of party. I don't think he is immune from receiving calls, hearing concerns, and recognizing the urgency of this issue and the importance of not standing up for the past, racist actions of others, as opposed to a future that's more inclusive. And we can disagree on basic policy decisions.
Yeah.
We should never have a disagreement on civility and decency. And it is uncivil around some of the things that Thomas Farr has done, and it is completely beneath the dignity of the federal bench to allow an individual who has simply done things to break the law to prevent African Americans and others to vote.
Derrick Johnson, President of the NAACP, with us. Derrick, and again, folks, contact Senator Tim Scott, please, especially if you're from South Carolina. Ask him to vote no on Thomas Farr today. Also, Mississippi and Derrick Johnson with us. Derrick, your reaction to what happened the other day in Mississippi with the election of Cindy Hyde-Smith.
I think the election, for the most part, for the state was a positive election. Not her getting elected, but we've had a large number of African American judges elected.
Yeah.
We are particularly excited for the Court of Appeals race where Attorney Deborah McDonald won the justice for the Court of Appeals. And Deborah McDonald is the individual who've gone all the way to the Supreme Court representing NAACP in Mississippi around voting rights cases, have done so on a pro bono basis for the last 30 years. So we are extremely excited with her election to the Court of Appeals. There were several other judges elected across the state. When you look at the actual race of the U.S. Senate, it was disheartening that the conversation, the public discourse around those candidates really went back to race. And Cindy Hyde-Smith as a candidate was a horrible candidate. I think she would be a horrible U.S. senator. And unfortunately, like many states in the South, racial bloc voting is still the norm. Whites in Mississippi, like many parts of the states, cannot go beyond tribalism and vote what's in their best interest as opposed to get in their corners and vote for an individual who represents the past.
Also, 2 black women elected to circuit court in Hinds County in Mississippi. 3. It's 3. Oh, actually 3. Okay, gotcha.
3. Right. Two won in a runoff on last week, and the third one outright. So we have judges all across the state who won for the first time, and in one scenario, we had an individual who was a problem when he served on a circuit court. He was running for Court of Appeals, and we were able to defeat him because his views, particularly around mass incarceration and criminalization of African Americans, were so extreme,
right?
That we had to do all we could to prevent him from getting elected.
Yeah.
This election season, many people were disheartened that Stacey Abrams in Georgia or Andrew Gillum in Florida, Ben Jealous in Maryland didn't win, but we have to measure the totality of the election season. And the totality of the season, we had victories up and down the ticket.
Right.
We had massive turnout, and we should celebrate as a community that our voices were heard across this country.
Well, and that's a learning experience as well, because sometimes when we may not win the race at the top of the ticket, we still help the down ballot races. So I'm sure Stacey Abrams helped Lucy McBath. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure Andrew Gillum helped Amendment 4. And obviously Mike Espy helped these judges. So
absolutely. I mean, their coattails were long, and more importantly, it energized African Americans to understand the necessity to participate in this cycle. And as a result of that, there will be many individuals who will be impacted in a very positive way because of the different issues and individuals that were successful this cycle.
Right. Absolutely. Derrick Johnson, President of the NAACP. Where you on your way to, man?
Somewhere in USA, man. I live in the airport, right?
I know that's right.
So,
how's your family? They okay with you living in airports and being away from home so much? They dealing with that okay? I know it's tough.
I can tell you, I am blessed to have a wife that is supportive, but also as active as she is. She serves on the school board. She's a bankruptcy trustee. bankruptcy lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
We are blessed with some wonderful kids. So I am thankful for what I have been provided with as I also work to pay it forward to make sure that we create an environment of society where more of our community can prosper and have stable, successful lives. So I'm blessed, and I'm doing this work to pay it forward at the same time.
Well, that's good to know. Give your family my love, Derrick. Thank you for your activism and your vigilance. You know, folks, we've not had, to my knowledge, in the leadership of the NAACP and the national leadership, one a resident of Mississippi per se since Medgar Evers. I think I'm right about that, Derrick. In
But
terms of
no
national
one in the
officer,
presidency. Yeah, well, no
because
one in
Medgar was
presidency.
national field secretary. I'm trying to remember in between Medgar and you, what
Well,
other
no,
Mississippi?
Meckers was the state field secretary for Mississippi. He wasn't national.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
What's unique with that is when he was over Mississippi, Vernon Jordan was over Georgia.
Okay.
We had many others. But during that time, the work was so intense, the fight was so deep, we really had to have staff on the ground to coordinate because if we had not had that, the volunteers would have been difficult to carry the day. So
Yeah.
it is an organization with a steep legacy. I want to shift real quick so you can begin to beat this drum. Next year, 2019, is the 400th recognition of the transatlantic slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
1619 is when the alleged first ship came here, and we should now all of next year pay recognition to the transatlantic slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
And you have countries like Ghana who's calling it the year of return. So it urge people to begin to try to trace your legacy, to recognize our journey, and to pursue a course of action to understand that we were in a system of slavery, but we were never slaves. We've always been human beings, and our ancestors fought to get us here, and for us to recognize next year is crucial for us to navigate our future. So 400 years of the transatlantic slave trade will kick off next year, January 1.
Are you planning to participate, or the NAACP planning to participate in the year of return in Ghana?
Absolutely. We are working a calendar now.
Okay.
At the beginning of the year, we're going to be announcing that.
Okay.
And we want to make sure you engage as well.
Yeah, no, and I want to talk about, because I was just in a meeting the other day. For the first time, I would like to broadcast this show and broadcast Sirius XM from Ghana. So we would just, so let's stay in touch on that, and because that's, Derrick is right, folks. The 400th anniversary of the transatlantic slave trade, and we want to acknowledge that. And Ghana has called for us to return, and we must do that.
And for us, it's significant. NAACP is our 110th anniversary.
Right.
But our founder, W.B. Du Bois, is buried in Ghana.
It sure is. Sure, I've been there. I've been to the house. God bless him.
So all of these things are key milestones that we should never forget,
Right.
Because the journey that brought us here will be the instructions to carry us into the future. So, Mark, continue the work that you do. I really appreciate you allowing me this outlet to talk about the work of NAACP, and I want to encourage your listeners to join. Next year, our fight ahead of us will be dealing with the census, and we need to continue the fight as we make democracy work for all of us and to ensure that our children have a bright future.
Well, I appreciate you allowing me to showcase NAACP, my brother. So we appreciate you. At Derrick NAACP on Twitter, at NAACP as well on Twitter. Safe travels, man, and love to the family, okay?
All right, take care.
All right, take care now. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. Want to get to a few calls, and also don't forget, at the top of the hour, Hakeem Jeffries is going to be joining us. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that, please, ma'am, please, sir. 866-997 4748. Let's see. Let's try to get everybody in here in the moments remaining in this hour. Frank's in Pennsylvania. Frank, God bless you. Good morning. Get ready for impeachment. Go right ahead.